The two highest grossing original films since the pandemic were made by black directors, Jordan Peele's Nope and most recently Ryan Coogler's Sinners. This is not a coincidence. Original films in the past half decade have become destitute, with studios shifting their focus to IP-driven media. Creatives have taken no and always take the chance to write, direct, or produce a big budget ensemble piece. And that's not to say that these creatives don't have their own unique stories and experiences to tell, because they do. But right now in today's audience, it just feels like you have to have more than just a good story or good visuals to connect with the masses. In present day, people are not even sold to go see their nostalgic past redone or continued. Today's people are not only looking for groundbreaking visuals, an outstanding cast, and great direction, but they are also looking for a spark of joy, a spark of fright, of sadness. It doesn't matter really, as long as it's sparking some emotion in you. And almost poetically, it looks like black creators have taken the lead when it comes to original thought and emotion driven media. In most mediums of storytelling, we have been seeing a rise in black stories, and the audience's response to it has been overwhelmingly positive and lucrative. I say this is a poetic outcome because in the beginning of film, black people were not portrayed or represented well at all. I mean, every film major and cinephile knows about The Birth of a Nation, basically a 3-hour recruitment video for the Triple Ks, but for 2 decades, this was the highest grossing movie ever. Its depiction of black people was of white people in blackface being unintelligent, lazy, hypersexual, and violent. And for the following decades, film entered a time of tokenism, a time where black people were given roles in films, but most often black people were only a part of the film to fill a watered down diet version of the prejudices of the past. And sometimes tokenism is still present today, but thanks to some films like Carmen Jones and people like Sidney Poitier and the civil rights movement in America, we again entered a new era of black filmmaking with Blaxploitation. In the 70s, Blaxploitation movies like Buck and the Preacher, Superfly, Shaft, and Dolomite were people's first introduction to real black main characters that had a real agency and drive to them. For the most part, this was the first time that black characters were placed in the hero role and kind of shaped the modern notion of an anti-hero. Why this era of black film gets a little bit of dirt thrown on it is because these characters weren't always the squeakiest of clean people. Some were outlaws, criminals, pimps, prostitutes. People would say this isn't a good representation of black people, which is not if you generalize all black people to these characters, which modern day audiences probably would not, but older audiences who lived in a very recently desegregated America would and could often stereotype all black people as characters they saw on the big screen. But where I think Blaxploitation actually falls short is where it got its name. The exploitation factor of this era came from behind the scenes. Most of these black-led casts and crew were not given proper compensation. Pam Grier was a superstar at this time and was a household name, but she was not shy with voicing her problems with the industry with the way they treated talent. The producers and directors that created the stories these white-owned studios profited off of were not compensated fairly and didn't own any part of their film. The actors were treated the same for the most part, but there's always anomalies and eras. People like Sidney Poitier, who had a career before Blaxploitation, actually owned all the films he made through his production company. Other actors did not receive any residuals for their work and received very low flat rates, while their movies made millions at the box office and their names became household. And for most actors after this era of Blaxploitation, they struggled finding new jobs because they were associated with these films and typecast into roles they played in them. But by the mid 1980s, black film had shifted once again. This is the beginning of the modern era of black filmmaking because directors had become the face of their movies just as much as the star actor. Spike Lee was the first and biggest name on the scene in 1986 with She's Gotta Have It. Later on, making School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, he had a clear directorial vision that was unmistakable and most importantly highly profitable. In this era, we saw a lot more creators taking ownership of their art. Spike is not the originator of independent film, but he is a key figure in the popularization of the practice. He started his 40 Acres and a Mule production company and kept ownership of his films by financing it himself. Many would follow in Spike's footsteps and just open the door for more creators and also open the minds of big studios to give fair deals to talent. Moving to the 90s, filmmakers like John Singleton and F. Gary Gray began to pop up on the scene and create culturally significant movies. And some movies, just to say the least, is Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice, Friday, Set It Off. These are all culturally significant movies made in the early 90s. And later on in the late 90s and early 2000s, we saw the biggest boom in modern black filmmaking with many iconic black creators debuting debuting during this time. I mean, you had Love and Basketball made by Gina Prince Bythewood. You had George Tillman Jr. directing Soul Food, Men of Honor, and produced Barbershop, the whole trilogy. I always had a little trouble with bro's name, so if I mispronounce it, don't get on me too hard, but Rick Famuyiwa, I think I said that right, directed The Wood, Brown Sugar, and wrote Talk to Me. I actually didn't know for a good time in the 90s, Antoine Fuqua was actually a music director for people like Usher, Toni Braxton, Prince. He even did the music video for Coolio's Gangsta Paradise. The more you know, I guess. But we most commonly know him for his action films, Training Day, Shooter, Lightning in a Bottle. Later on, he did the Equalizer trilogy and The Magnificent Seven. Shonda Rhimes is a legendary TV writer, creating the shows Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, and later on, Scandal. Aaron McGruder deserves a mention here for The Boondocks alone, one show I actually would wish they went through with on a reboot. The Wayans clan as a whole is so influential during this era. I mean, it's too much to name, but the Wayans bros, My Wife and Kids, Scary Movie, I'ma Get You Sucker are some of my personal favorites. And yes, even Tyler Perry deserves a mention here in this era, even though a lot of people, including myself, would look at his stories as somewhat regressive. You still gotta mention him, he's a part of history. And that's only a few creators from this era, but the era we are in now is special for many reasons. But what I think is most important is that this era is leading the way when it comes to original content. In a time where studios are obsessed with IP-based properties and making reboots, sequels, spin-offs, and adaptations, original ideas can sometimes fall by the wayside. But that's not to say that original ideas are completely dead in the water. Thanks to these filmmakers, we still get to see great original pieces of art on film. What inspired this video first was Ryan Coogler's Sinners becoming the highest grossing original film since the pandemic. But what really got the gears rolling is the fact that the former highest grossing film was Nope by Jordan Peele. So in a sense, at the top of the original thought in the film's zeitgeist were two black men. And I just found that so amazing knowing the history of black film, and it made me think further into other genres and mediums of filmmaking where black creators are at the top of their game, and it just started a rabbit hole, honestly. I mean, with television, we have creators like Issa Rae and Quinta Brunson. Issa was a pioneer in the web series space in the 2010s with Awkward Black Girl, which was eventually adapted into an original network show. Insecure was one of them ones when it was on. We've seen young black people in media as recently as the 2000s with Girlfriends, even living single in the 90s, but Insecure was scratching a real itch for people. It was a real dramatic comedy that was one of the first of its kind to use single cam. Usually prioritized for dramas and film, single cam was rarely used in comedy until The Office. But now you see single cam has almost become the standard when it comes to comedy dramas specifically. Succession, The Bear, Ted Lasso, Barry, all comedy dramas utilizing the single cam format. And another comedy drama using the single cam format was Atlanta, a show created by one of my favorite thespians, Donald Glover. Also some Dreamer lore here. I actually got my name the same way Donald Glover got his stage name Childish Gambino. I just put my name into the Wu-Tang Clan name generator, and what came out was what the name you see now is, Unlucky Dreamer. But back to the topic. Atlanta is again another original black show that has created so many cultural significant moments. So many episodes, especially in the early seasons, are iconic. The conversations it started were so nuanced and sort of taboo at the time to be in the mainstream. Microaggressions, gentrification, how complex black masculinity can be. Mental health. Like, there's so much here to dissect and discuss, but at the same time, this shit is funny as hell.
Hey, yo, my life's like a movie, my eyes are like a Uzi, jacuzzi. Get the fuck out of the way!
But not as generationally funny as Abbott Elementary, a show created by Quinta Brunson. It's clearly inspired by The Office with the use of the documentary style single cam, but this series is so much more than an Office parody. This show has a lot more heart and charm. The characters are layered, and the series has a narrative progression that sometimes dips into drama territories. It comments on real issues plaguing the public school system and youth today, and not to keep comparing this show to The Office, but it's just way more diverse and has a lot more represented voices coming from it. But if we're keeping to the theme of funny but in film, Issa Rae just produced one of the funniest movies this year. One of them days to me is a modern day Friday, and it proves that original comedies can still make a profit in the box office. A lot more studios run away from generic specific movies and start to spam high budget action movies. We see black creators trying to revitalize the concept of genres. Like I said before, Ryan Coogler and Jordan Peele, they have made strides in their recent movies, pushing their thriller and horror genre forward, pushing audiences with political and social themes, and creating spectacles that people just must see in theaters. That's the feeling I chase when approaching film, wanting to watch something, not needing to watch something, like the way modern day movies would want you to think. But believe me, you can definitely make spectacles of film with adaptations or other intellectual properties. Nia DaCosta wowed audiences with her new take on the Candyman in 2021. Utilizing shadows and mirrors to never truly reveal Candyman made him feel really like an omnipotent figure and made for something you just couldn't take your eyes off of. And spectacles aren't exclusive to live action because the Spider-Verse movies are spectacles in their own right. Kemp Powers was a director on Across the Spider-Verse and Peter Ramsey was a director on Into the Spider-Verse. Both of these movies are individually stunning and have inspired so many more animated properties to use this type of animation style. And low-key, it started the overuse of the multiverse, so that's again influence. There's just so many things that Black creators are inspiring right now. From animation to horror to comedy, Black people are having their biggest moment in film right now in this era. And I just wanted to take some time to talk about how far we have come and appreciate the past and present of Black filmmakers. And honestly, I wanted to mention a lot more creators, but I didn't know how to connect everyone. So before I go, I just want to mention a couple of creators I would be disappointed in myself if I didn't mention. Barry Jenkins directed The Last Man in San Francisco, great movie. Moonlight, another great movie. Misha Green from Sacramento created Lovecraft Country and The Underground. Courtney Kemp created Power, a whole universe now. It has like 4 or 5 shows. Michaela Cole created Chewing Gum and I May Destroy You. Lena Waithe with The Shy, great show going on a lot of seasons, I can't even remember how many. Ronaldo Marcus Green recently made King Richard. Justin Simien with Dear White People. Ava DuVernay with Selma 13th, When They See Us. And also I gotta shout out a fellow Blurred, Cheyenne Uwulu, who made Comic Shop, a really great web series that if you haven't checked out yet, you should probably go check it out. It's very funny. So with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and comment who your favorite Black creator is, or your favorite project, or era. Go crazy. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you on the next one.